Today we are taking a look at the Winter Soldier fighter from the Unmatched games. The Winter Soldier that you see here is from the Marvel King and Country set, along with Black Widow and Black Panther. Winter Soldier is Bucky Barnes. Bucky being one of Captain America's friends from World War II, who was captured by Hydra to be reprogrammed and turned into just a big killing machine. He has the programming in his head that makes him do that. He's able to get past that to a certain degree, but the programming always seems to kick in and make him have problems. So let's take a look at Winter Soldier's card here. He's a solo fighter. He's a ranged fighter with a health of 15 and a move of 2. That's move of 2 is not great for a solo fighter, but it's what we got. But he's got a lot going on. His ability is Brainwashed. Effects on Winter Soldier cards cannot be canceled. Whoa, that's like Sherlock's ability, but better. And you say, well, that doesn't really look a whole lot different. Yeah, well, Holmes and Watson actually have some innies in their deck, and those can be canceled. This is just Winter Soldier cards can't be canceled, so it's literally like every card in his deck cannot be canceled. But yeah, there's something about that. So let's go ahead and take a look at his cards, and you'll see something interesting on his cards here. And that thing that you're going to see is the reason that his cards cannot be canceled. You're going to see a 6. Yes, this is going to be a ranged 6. But we're going to see this little star effect right here and this text in gray. These are basically star effects that have to do with being brainwashed. After combat, your opponent may draw 1 card. Well, that just happens. And the reason it just happens is because effects on Winter Soldier cards cannot be canceled. So these nasty effects that he has just happen because they can't be canceled. And you're like, well, why do they have these nasty ones with the little stars by them? You notice that. We'll be getting back to that here in a bit, but sharp on you to notice that and think about it. Let's look at some more cards. Program to kill. This is attack of 4, a ranged 4, which is pretty good. If you win the combat, take 2 damage. So this is just a nasty card here that gives you 2 damage if you win. Wow, Winter Soldier, that reprogramming you got in your head is nasty, bro. Nasty. Bionic arm. As you can see, this one here will have some white text, which is normal, and then the gray text, which is the nasty. During combat, if Winter Soldier is adjacent to the opposing fighter, the value of this card is 6 instead. So if he's there adjacent to you, he can use his bionic arm to smack you around. After combat, this is the star effect, your opponent moves each of their fighters up to 5 spaces. Whoa, they get to move their fighters. 5 spaces, that is a lot. Man, this brainwashing just sucks, Bucky. Marksman, hey, look, there's no nasty effects on this one. During combat, this is a attack of 1. Yeah, but look at it. Add +1 to this card's value for each space between you and the opposing fighter along the shortest path. Well, fortunately for you, effects on Winter Soldier cards cannot be canceled, and it doesn't matter if it's a gray one or a white effect. None of them get canceled, so you get to ramp this card up here. Nice. Finally, this ability is doing something good for you. Complete the mission. A defense of 3. 3 copies of this. You may boost this card. Hey, that can't be canceled. Deal damage to the opposing fighter equal to the amount of combat damage you took. That can't be canceled either. So this gives you an interesting choice here that you can boost it and not take as much damage. But if you boost it and take less damage, then you're not dealing as much. You can decide to not boost it, and then you take a bunch of damage, but they take a bunch of damage too. So it just depends on where both of your healths are on this. Manipulation. 2 copies of this. The regular effect, draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. The nasty effect, Each opponent may draw until they have 5 cards in their hand. So this is going to bring everybody up to 5. You could use this when everybody else has like a bunch of cards in hand and you don't have many. It's just a way to get your hand count up, and that could actually work well. But man, if only there was some way to get rid of these nasties. Wait, what's this? What's this? A Boy Named Bucky. Ignore any star effects on your cards for the rest of your turn. Gain an action. Yes, this is why the star effects, the nasty ones, are separate. Because you just ignore the effects on it. You're not canceling because, you know, they can't be canceled. But you can ignore them. If only Houdini had the word ignore on one of his cards instead of cancel. But anyway, but this lets you get rid of some of the things on these and completely changes a lot of cards in your hand here. Your opponent no longer draws a card on without remorse. You no longer take the 2 damage if you win Program to Kill. Your opponent doesn't move 5 spaces away on Bionic Arm. They don't draw until they have 5 cards from manipulation. Makes a lot of cards better. And speaking of cards that get a lot better, we're going to throw this thing out here. What? Is this a versatile 5? Yes, people, it's a versatile 5. What? Reflex Memories. Discard 2 random cards, then draw 2 cards. Oh, that is a nasty star effect. But if you don't have that nasty star effect, then this is just a versatile 5. Now, on defense, you're always going to have that effect because you have no way to ignore the star effects on defense. So it's something to take into account here on this card. Defensively, you're always going to be discarding 2 random cards and then drawing 2 new ones. It's just as an attack you can get around that, and that's just because of Boy Named Bucky. It isn't until like the start of your next turn. It's for the rest of the turn that you're on, so you will have those effects on there, always be on there when you use it defensively. Born in the Barracks. If you won the combat, Winter Soldier recovers 2 health. Well, it's good to have a good effect at least. And just like all the other effects, that can't be canceled, so there is some good to come out of that. Reprogram. 3 copies of this. After combat, choose 3 cards in your discard pile and shuffle them into your deck. Well, okay, so you're going to have going to be pulling cards out of your discard pile and putting them back into your deck. Obvious piece of advice here. If there is a reprogram already in your discard pile, you should probably put reprogram back into your deck, which means that once that starts, you can keep bringing reprogram back into other cards and keep reprogramming and bringing cards back. Oh wow, that's just like an infinite thing. Yeah, and you're like, well, there's other characters that can do infinite. I mean, Daredevil can do it, yes, but you know what Winter Soldier has that Daredevil doesn't? Effects on Winter Soldier cards cannot be canceled. Oof! Big oof! Your opponent can't cancel this. Now, this is just a 2. So if you're using it on defense, it's going to hurt. And if you're using it as an attack, all you're doing is just bringing cards back. But he can keep on bringing them cards back, which means this dude is like the ultimate exhaustion fighter. The only way that this can really be stopped is if cards... The only way this can really be stopped is if these cards are removed from Winter Soldier being able to play them. Well, there's somebody in this box that may be able to do that. Wily Fighting, and this is just some really awkward looking art. I get what they're trying, but that's odd. You know what Wily Fighting does? Deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter adjacent to Winter Soldier. And feint. He's got the 3 regular feints. So for the most part, the Winter Soldier star effects are on attack cards. The only thing that has a star effect that could be used on defense will be reflex memories. So reflex memories on defense is the only card that can't have the star effects canceled by a Boy Named Bucky. I also think it's a little disappointing that A Boy Named Bucky doesn't feature like World War II era Bucky on it and prominently. That just seems like that would be an obvious art decision for me, but it's still good artwork on it. You can see the effects that get much better when you play A Boy Named Bucky. This card gaining in action, so it doesn't lose you in action. So if you're in a spot to be able to double attack, you can slap down A Boy Named Bucky and just smack big, probably like Bionic Arm or Without Remorse, or Reflex Memories if you just want to smack for a 5 and not have to deal with this effect, because this is probably the nastiest effect you have on there, because just like losing 2 cards out of your hand and drawing 2 can be really, really rough. Now, being able to go infinite definitely helps on that case, so you're not taking as much damage. So it's not going to be as rough on you, because you can get some of those cards back out of your discard pile. The other thing is these ones that have your opponent draw cards are may draw cards. Your opponent may draw a card, and each opponent may draw until they have 5 cards in their hand, which means they don't necessarily have to draw off of this, so you can't force them into exhaustion with either of these. And it's may draw until they have 5 cards in their hand. That does not allow them to draw up to less than 5, like they can't draw up to 4. They have to draw up to 5 if they decide to do that. So the main thing that would get him down would be the health. 15 is good health, but he doesn't have a whole lot of healing, just born into barracks. And this is a card that you have to win. So early on, when there's other defenses, you're not going to get this, pull this off a whole lot here. I mean, obviously it's not going to be canceled, so that will happen, but winning with a 3 is a bit harder to do. When that can really kick in is going to be later into the game. If you've been able to recur cards a few times, these could start showing back up, and then you can start getting these 3s off undefended or against weaker defenses. This may be something to throw against like sidekicks and stuff, to try to pull this off, be able to pull this off undefended, to be able to get that effect off. So anyway, there is a lot going on there with Bucky. He can like do some crazy stuff with that infinite looping he can do. Oh man, it is crazy. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and a like. You can go down into the comment section and let me know what you thought down there. And you can also subscribe to my channel to make sure that you catch all the videos that I post so you don't miss anything. This is Jeremy with To The Tabletop, and we'll see you around later.